It's New York Lottery's numbers and Win 4 drawings, observed by an auditor from KPMG.
Good evening. It's Wednesday, November 17th, 1999. I'm Yolanda Vega. Now, here's tonight's number. The first ball up is 0. The next.
Hey,
Ben Roethlisberger.
those Nike Air Marauder Ds you got there let you show your team colors. They're also lightweight and help you be agile. Which is crucial when you're moving around in the pocket. Got it?
Yeah, man.
The Nike Air Marauder D cleats only at Dick's Sporting Goods. Better athlete, better team.
Reach out, oh, with Ray and Steve. Reach out, with Ray and Steve. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the car. For the home team, if they don't win, it's a shame. Play ball.
Hello, everybody, and a very pleasant good evening to you wherever you may be. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Reach Out with Ray and Steve. Of course, we are the show where East meets West and where the Yankees out in New York meet the Dodgers in Brooklyn or LA, where they may be, and baseball meets music, and we all come together for community. All right, everybody, come on in, Steve and Ray. Where are you guys?
Hola, Robbie.
Hey.
Robbie,
How are you today?
That was
Good.
a great tap dance you did at the beginning there.
Hey, you know what? I was running in there, and I thought I had a minute to do, and I didn't, I guess, did I?
I thought you was Bojangles Robinson there for a second.
No.
I thought you were taking out our check to pay us or something.
Yeah, I thought it goes the other way around or something.
Oh, okay, that's right.
Here we go.
There we go.
Hey,
How you
we're
doing?
gonna
You're
have
out
a
in
cool.
LA now.
Back in L.A., yep.
How things in LA?
Things are, well, it's kind of cold out here. I think it was 55 or 60 degrees today.
Yeah, we have a heat wave going on here. We're about
Wow.
15.
I feel so bad. 55, 60. How do you deal with it?
Oh, man, it's tough. But, you know, that's tough living in paradise.
So, Robbie, could you give us our Frankie Valley report?
Frankie Valley is rocking and raring to go, and we're getting ready to boogie woogie. Our first tour date is in March 4th in Boston.
Oh, wow.
I think that's where the Red Sox are
What
from.
is that, a benefit for Big Papi?
Yeah, he needs it, doesn't he? Maybe, but then we go the next night to Staten Island, and then we're in your hometown of Long Island. I think we're playing it at a barbecue at your house or something, aren't we?
In my,
Really?
yeah,
Okay.
you're in
He's
my
cooking?
backyard.
Wow, he's cooking?
Yeah, hot dogs.
Wow,
Frankie
wow.
likes hot dogs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oscar Mayer.
So we're coming to New York. So get ready, New York, March 5th
Yeah,
and
we can't
6th.
wait. We can't wait. We'll have to do a show, all three of us together, which we've never done yet.
Ooh, that would be fun. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We gotta do it. But you know what? We New Yorkers are going through a lot. We lost two young police officers, and I mean Jason Rivera and Wilbert Mora, 22 years old and 27 years old, and people came out in full force. And Ray, you were down in New York City. What did you see when you were there?
No, it is what it is, and tomorrow we have the funeral, the wake for Mora, so I'll be there for that, and I'll let you know next week. I don't even want to talk about it anymore. Let's move on.
It's very, very sad, and we lost a dear friend. She was a warrior, and we lost her to a rare disease, Tara. We love you so very much. She fought. She was a big advocate here locally. She came out with a documentary with Robbie Robinson for American Idol, and stay tuned for some of those clips in the future. But attended a funeral for her today. It's just a sad time sometimes when you lose someone that you love and care about, who's reached out to so many people. But the Super Bowl is almost here. It's going to be in your neck of the woods, Robbie. You watching football over the weekend?
You mean the Dodgers are going to be playing in the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I don't know. No, your Rams, Los Angeles Rams.
I know. How's that?
No, knowing Robbie Robinson, he'll be with his childhood friend who owns the team, by the way.
Oh, okay.
And so I'm sure he has a suite there at the stadium, wherever.
SoFi.
And Robbie will be there, eating up on the food.
Well, he might be doing a national anthem. You never know.
Whatever Robbie wants. It's Robbie's world.
This very well could be the year that the Dodgers have the championship in football, basketball, and baseball. How cool would that be?
That would be very cool. And we
one of my favorite songs. I like dreaming, because dreaming.
Robbie,
Kenny Nolan. Let me tell you a quick aside. You know the guy who wrote that song?
Who?
Kenny Nolan. And you know what else he wrote?
Kenny Nolan, yes.
He wrote My Eyes Adored You.
Oh, wow.
You didn't know that. See, you learn something if you watch this show.
That's right. This is Reach Out with Ray, Steve, and Robbie. We're here every Monday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 4 p.m. West Coast time. And we lost another actor, Howard Hesseman, WKRP. A great, great actor. Let's check out a little snippet because he was hilarious. We want to show our viewers out there.
That was.
And not a moment too soon either, babies. That was Queen with their big hit, one that I never particularly cared for, but am nevertheless forced to play here on WKRP. This is Dr. Johnny Fever, just doing my job, following the orders of Venus Flytrap. He's just doing Andy Travis' job, while Andy fills in for our sales manager, Herb Tarlick, who's not doing his job.
Great actor, Dr. Johnny Fever, WKRP. Another loss in Hollywood.
Yep.
Yeah. But we want to say happy birthday to two people on the Chapters Network. Anna and Rachel, happy birthday to the both of you. God bless you both, and thank you for everything that you do for the network. So we just want to make sure we say happy birthday with that. But Robbie, you have a special guest here, a good friend of yours. I think he's actually a Red Sox fan.
Wait a minute.
I know.
Oh, go ahead.
But you know him.
I don't know what guests are coming on this show.
Well, Robbie, let's fill us in, Robbie. Who's coming on?
This guy is one of the great drummers in the music business. He played with us with Frankie for 13, 14, 15 years, a long time. He's played with so many people. He's even he won the Jazz Artist of the Year in Los Angeles. He's a great drummer, but his claim to fame is he met George Steinbrenner wearing a Boston Red Sox hat, and his name is Craig Pilo. Come on in, Craig.
All right, Craig.
Where's the... There we go.
Hey, guys.
A round of applause. Look, of course, you're representing the Bo Sox there.
Well, let me just say this. I have not had a salary increase since the day I introduced this man to George Steinbrenner. He was wearing that darn hat he's got on right now. That's no joke either.
I had to represent this week because of David Ortiz. I feel it's my duty.
Right. So you actually really went to a Yankee game and met George Steinbrenner in Red Sox paraphernalia.
They weren't even playing the Red Sox.
Wow.
I did.
That is cool. So you've been a Red Sox fan for a long time, haven't you?
My whole life.
Who's your favorite Red Sox growing up?
Oh man, I have so many. I mean, I grew up with the Freddie Linds, Dwight Evans, Jerry Remy, Carl Yastrzemski. Those were my guys, and then obviously we won't talk about that huge drought that happened for most of my lifetime until 2004. But yeah, I know I'm a fan of the dynasty,
That's right. Now it's a dynasty. Before a couple of years back, that's a beautiful little baby.
That's my daughter. Yeah.
Wow. So being a Red Sox fan, obviously you're happy with David Ortiz making it to the Hall of Fame. And we're going to have some sports writers. We're going to talk about that later.
Good.
But, Craig, talk about your musical career a little bit. You've been around so long with so many great musicians and like Gary, the band Player, and Pat Boone. Talk about Pat Boone. You worked with him.
Yeah, I mean that was a great time. What a nice man. We always had fun on the gig, and I think there's even a video circulating around YouTube that people are like, "Hey, it's Craig," and there's a video that they shot of us in Ireland, and Pat's got his white suit on and everything. I can't say enough good things about Pat Boone. He always treated me well. The guys in the band were fantastic. We always had a great time touring with them. I did a lot of international dates with them, with that band, and he's just a great guy.
Now, when you worked with Pat Boone, was he the boss there? Like I know who's the boss in the Frankie Valli band, Robbie is. But I would
Robbie is without a shadow of a doubt the glue that holds that entire organization together, musically, physically, mentally, diplomatic, everything. So without Robbie, I don't know that even would happen. But Pat was a little less kind of commandeering, but I mean, it was still his gig and his show. He did it, he did it in a very, it was still his show, but it was, perhaps a little bit more diplomatic than maybe Frankie was sometimes,
What do you mean by that?
Well, let me divert from that just a second, or else you're going to start getting me in trouble. But you're talking Pat Boone, but then you're talking about Edgar Winter. Those are two opposite ends of the musical spectrum.
Yeah.
Talk about Edgar Winter, man.
Well, one of the things that when I moved to LA, I never even dreamed of being a touring drummer. I wanted to be a late night show drummer. I wanted to be a studio guy. I never had ambitions to travel, but all these opportunities kept coming up, and they were great opportunities. And I like taking a style and running with it. And I love the challenge of playing something different, or playing with Pat Boone one day, doing kind of his jazz versions of stuff, and then playing nice and hard with Edgar Winter. I got to play Frankenstein every night.
Oh, yeah. You did a big drum solo with his show, right?
I mean, what's not to like? What's not to like? So
now, Craig, with Robbie and Frankie, sometimes they get that big orchestra. How is it to play drums with a big orchestra like they get sometimes?
Well, another different challenge, just like with Frankie, most of the time, at least my job as the drummer is you still have to kind of kick the band and keep the orchestra in line by playing good time and good drumming, but you have to do it at a lower volume level because now you're on stage with 60 other people. So we all had our little job to do, and my description had to be, the drumming position had to be kind of modified depending on what venue we were playing at and whether it was an orchestra or not. So I love that challenge too. Those were great. I think we had an orchestra when we did the BBC Proms over in London, and that was one of the highlights of my career, In
London, we did the London Symphony at Royal Albert Hall.
Yeah.
We did the National Symphony. You were on that.
Yes. Yeah, that was in D.C., and that was great too. And it's, Robbie's back there conducting, and we're up front, and the orchestra's all the pieces came into play. What's not to like about those,
So, Craig, talk about when you first performed with Frankie Valli. How'd that come to be?
I don't remember the exact circumstances because I started in 2004 or 2005, but I think the other drummer was getting married and he wanted to stay home more, if I'm not mistaken. I hope I'm not misquoting anybody or saying anything that's not true, but I think he wanted to just travel less, and he kind of got a new start in his life, and he wanted to be closer to home to make the marriage work. Touring can be rough, just like being on a ball club. I'm sure it can be rough on your home life. So it just kind of came my way, and I subbed at first for his actual wedding. I went in and played as a substitute. And then a few months later, when he decided he didn't want to tour anymore, I kind of just kind of picked up where I left off when I subbed and continued to learn and digest the tunes and learn the new arrangements, and we kind of took it from there.
Now, in baseball, we have the manager, and then we have the bench coach. Now, Frankie Valli is definitely your Billy Martin.
You got it.
And then you got Robbie, who's like Don Zimmer. You know what I'm saying?
Nice analogy. Thanks.
Okay. So now, how difficult is it to work for the two of them? Because you're working for the two of them, and you know the bench coach is the guy that's really like doing this, making sure everything is situated, etc. And then he reports to Frankie or to Billy Martin, and you say, hey, A, B, and C. How tough was that for you?
Not at all. I mean, you couldn't ask for two better people to work for it. I mean, there was challenges all the time, just like there is in a ball club. You know, some days you get up there, you know, you guys are down 5 runs in the bottom of the 9th, and it's tough. You know, it's tough, but you be professional and you get through it. I mean, I never had any issue with Frankie or Robbie. We all did what we had to do every single night. Everybody gave 110%. You know, just like every job, people get tired, and you know, Frankie's a little older now, and those things crept into play sometimes. But for the most part, like, you couldn't ask for a better touring opportunity for me for the better part of 14 years. I can't imagine a better group of guys that I would have rather spent time with. You know, both Frankie, Robbie, and all the fantastic musicians that we employed, one after the next. You know, it was great.
We always had a great band. But I'll tell you what, we can talk about the music a lot, but music needs to be played. And we have a clip of Craig Pilo playing at by the way, he's also been, the people who watch this show know about Jam for Jesus, which we've done now for 30 years. And Craig has been the drummer on that for probably 15, 16, 17 years now.
Wow.
That sounds right. Yeah.
And we have a clip from this year, 2022.
Oh boy.
And this is this way people cannot just hear about Craig's drumming, but they can watch and hear his drumming. So let's play that clip.
Hopefully not the whole thing.
This is going to kill it, man.
All right.
Wow, nice.
No, you're supposed to let that go, Carmine. You got to play it from there.
It's
No,
good.
there's not that much left. Come on,
All right.
Carmine. Let's hear the rent to the end. Sure. How's that going? I guess we can't play it to the end.
Okay.
It wasn't that long.
Craig,
Yeah.
now I'm trying to figure this out. Okay, the drummer, like the shortstop or the catcher on the baseball team. I mean, you're the guy that has to, from the standpoint of your beat, is to keep the sync of the music going. Am I right?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay, and now I've been watching you and watching you and watching you. Like I watch Robbie very carefully, and the same thing with you. I mean, what's the difference between, say, you and Ringo Starr? What's the difference?
You know, two totally different musical environments for one. I mean, you know, Ringo was the best at what he did as far as supporting the Beatles music. You're never going to compare to that. But, most of Frankie's music had been recorded by the time I got in the band. So I had to kind of be respectful to the original parts, but also play it in a live setting, in the 2000s, 50 years later, I had to somehow take those parts and still make them relevant. So my parameters are a little different, especially again, zipping back into the touring drummer mind, you want to be respectful to the original recordings, but by the same token, people at our concert in 2005, they want to hear, a little energy too. So you kind of had to find a way to, make it work for everybody. And I think, again, with the band that we had under Robbie's direction, with Frankie's supervision, I think we gave it our all every single night. I think most of the time we hit it out of the park.
Hey, Robbie, was Craig Pilo the longest drummer in your era with Frankie Valli?
Let me think that. I think so. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Mm-hmm. And he was the best. One of the best.
Yeah,
the only thing is that Pilo and I on the road, we talked baseball all the time.
What do you think could have been the problem with Robbie and I on the road? Just take a guess.
Yeah, that wouldn't. You know what? If you wasn't any good, you'd have been gone after like the second inning.
But Craig, you also performed in a band called Player.
Yes.
Which had a lot of big hits. Talk about that band and your involvement with them.
Man, that was a spectacular time for me in my life. Ron Green and Ron was a singer here in LA that I worked with a lot with the band. I was subbed for Funk Attack and a few other variations on that band. And he said, "Hey, do you want to come play in Player? They need a drummer." And then I met Peter Beckett, and the bass player's name was Ron Moss, and he was actually an actor as well. He played Ridge Forrester on The Bold and the Beautiful. And all of us became friends. We're still friends to this day. So again, it was another real nice team environment. We all got along, and it was a vocal band, So long before I was with Frankie, I had a little experience playing in where the drums are important, but it's a vocal band. I'm there to support. They want to hear people sing "Baby Come Back." They don't want to hear a big drum solo. So again, the parameters were different, but we always had a great time. And Player, talk about a talented band, and what a great song, right? "Baby Come Back." You still hear it on the radio.
Well, timeless.
Yeah.
All I know is Teresa just said that you're the best. So
I love her. And
you've also been in film and TV, CSI Miami, Dirty Dancing, Ally McBeal, Sex and the City. You've had a great career in bands with musicians, great performers, and on screen as well.
I've had a good run. When I first moved to LA, I did a lot of sidelining. I was a little younger then. That was a couple years ago. But I used to, get hired to be the drummer in the band on film. And so sometimes I would do like the session one day, the recording session. And then like a month later, they'd say, "Hey, do you want to go sideline to your parts on TV and be the drummer in Vonda Shepard's band on Ally McBeal?" Or I forget what all of them were, to be honest with you. There was quite a few for a while. I was doing one a month, so I never knew what was there. But yeah, all great things. Can't complain. I wanted to be a session guy, a late night show drummer, and all that stuff. Just when you move to LA or you move to a big city and you're trying to be a musician, you just take whatever comes your way,
Craig, can you stay on with us? We got Edgardo Alfonso, the Met great, and we'd love to have him on with you. Okay?
Wow, that would be great.
Before we bring Fonzie on, let's check out what he did in 1999 in the NLDS against the Arizona team. Let's check it out.
Johnson to the windup, the 0-2 to Alfonso, and a high fly ball hit deep to left center field. Back goes Finley, back onto the track, back near the wall. It's off the wall, and it is in play, or is it out of here? It's out of here! The ball hit the fan and came back on the field. Alfonso has a home run in the first inning for the second straight day, and the Mets take a 1-0 lead against Randy Johnson. Alfonso does it again. A first-inning home run. He hit 27 during the year, and now he takes Randy Johnson deep out of the deepest part of the ballpark in distant left center field, right near the 413-foot mark. What a stunning start to this game. 1-0 New York. Fonzie, a very disciplined hitter, waiting at the plate. Chouinard set. The 3-1 pitch, and a drive in the air to deep left field, down the line. Gone if it stays fair. That ball is out of here! Out of here! Grand slam home run! Alfonso, a grand slam in the top of the ninth, and the Mets have taken an Alfonso hit it out of sight down the left field line, just inside the foul pole. His second home run of the game. Alfonso with a grand slam with 2 out of the top of.
Wow.
Wow. Off Randy Johnson.
Off Randy Johnson. Not bad. Fonzie, welcome to the show.
Wow, guys, thank you. Thank you so much. What a memories, man. Oh, my God. It made me crying right now. I wish I can do that. Still doing that right now, but my body can't hold it anymore.
But now you're the manager of the Ferry Hawks. Talk about what happened the other day.
Well, that was really good. I mean, I think when Mr. Gary Perron, the GM, he told me that he's gonna put a project together to bring baseball back to Staten Island. I think it was a great. I mean, I really Gary, I know Gary since a long time ago, and we worked pretty good in Brooklyn, and then we just get a great relation, and I feel so happy, so honored to be the first guy he thought about this project to be a manager. So we're looking forward to see the team in Staten Island, bring the team to bring it back baseball to Staten Island, and then looking forward to do that.
Now, you have been a part of the New York fabric for a long time now. You was in Brooklyn. I mean, how many years were you managing in Brooklyn with the Cyclones?
I was there total 6 years, 3 as a coach, bench coach, help Tom Gamboa, and then last 3 as a manager.
Ultimate goal, I mean, is to bring a championship to Staten Island, and the people there I know are very excited. I was at your press conference on Friday or Thursday, and the excitement to be able to get a player of your caliber to be there for the people. How do you feel about that?
I feel so happy. I feel so proud of, because I like New York. I kept my house. I lived there for 27 years until I moved to Florida. Now I'm in Florida, but I always like New York. People treat me really nice, and I like to give it back to them. And Staten Island is a great city. It's a great city. I think great community. I think it's gonna be exciting. And just try to, like you say, bring the championship back to Staten Island with this the new Ferry Hawks. So looking forward to having a great time and to enjoy New York again.
Because you're going to be working for a great ownership group of John Catsimatidis, who owns ABC Radio.
Oh yeah.
And then you're working for I guess Yankee Global. And then you're also working for Pete, is it Pete Davidson, the gentleman for Saturday Night Live?
Yes.
Okay. You're also working for Pete. So, I mean, it's a little pressure there for you, isn't it?
Don't put pressure on me. We haven't have a start yet. Come on. That's a great group owners. I think I met a few other owners, and I'm looking forward to meet the rest of the guys. And like I said, I mean, something that I always like is baseball, and I don't want to be selfish to stay home and not teaching or don't give what I learned during my career to the guys. And I bet you there's gonna be a guy there who gonna have a chance to get back to the organized baseball, and guy who's gonna looking forward to get a job, and then if you can help it to get a job, you feel good.
Now I want you to meet our co-host Robbie Robinson from Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons, and also Craig Pilo, who unfortunately is a big Red Sox guy but an incredible drummer. Guys, say hello to Edgardo.
Hey.
Hey, Edgardo, I would have to think, though, if you're talking about pressure, it's not managing, it's facing Randy Johnson in a playoff game. Sounds like more pressure, huh?
That was, I mean, the pressure is because you're not going to play. You're going to depend on 25 guys going to be on the roster. But that's a good question, because when you know you can do it yourself, and you have a pressure, but you work so hard, and you prepare yourself to face guys like Randy Johnson, face every pitcher in the big leagues, and then it's good when you depend on yourself.
Now, Fonzie, you play with a couple of teams, the Mets, the Giants, the Angels, the Blue Jays, Yamaha Giants. What managerial style do you emulate? What manager did you look up to that you think you'll take back to the players that you manage?
Well, it's hard to take one guy because when you as a player you try to learn much as you can with each guy. I think one of the guys who teach me a lot and who I recognize more, it was Bobby Valentine. He was my manager for many years, and then he's he's one of the greatest that I ever played for. I always say when you play with Bobby, you get to love him, but when you play against Bobby, you want to kill him, But that's the way it is. But he's a great manager. And then you learn a little bit about Felipe Alou too. Felipe Alou, how he moves his piece around the diamond. So you got to take a little bit of everything and put it together and try to take the best from everyone. And you got to use your own feeling too, because common sense of the games and the situations will dictate what you're gonna do in that moment. So I think it's great.
Robbie, the one thing that always impressed me about this young man is how unselfish he is, because the Mets made a trade for the greatest second baseman of all time in Roberto Alomar.
Yeah.
And before they even had a chance to say anything, this young man volunteered to go to third base. And I thought that was extremely classy of you. And why did you do that?
Well, because I'm a team player. That happened when we have the chance to sign Robbie Ventura. Remember that I was playing third base and I was doing really good in third base. And I remember when they told me, hey, they know I can play second base because I did it before. And they asked me if I can move to second base. That way we get a chance to sign Robin Ventura. I say, well, you know what? If the team's gonna be better with Robin Ventura, I'll move to second base. And man, that was a great decision because we have one of the greatest infield ever on the Mets history. And then after I went to the All-Star game. I won the Silver Slugger. We went to the World Series and all the stuff. They asked me again. We got a chance to sign Robbie Alomar. I said, "Wow, Robbie Alomar! I love Robbie Alomar. What you want me to do? Can you go back to third base?" I say, "All right, let's do it. Let's do it. If he's gonna make the team better like that, bring in Alomar because he's one of the best players, one of the best second base I ever. I always see him play. I mean, he's one of my heroes, And then we did it, and I think Robbie was Robbie Alomar, man. It was great to have it in the team.
Well, the second half of our show, we're going to have a roundtable discussion about the lockout, about the Hall of Fame, and we have sports reporters Kevin Kernan, Ken Davidoff, and Bob Klapisch. If those gentlemen want to join us in our conversation here, bring them on, Carmine.
No, but hold on. Before we do that, I don't want to hold out Fonzie. I just want, I want to wish you good luck in this coming season. And thank you so much for coming to New York. I mean, because he's just moved to Florida. So for him to come back to New York, I appreciate you doing that for the ownership group that's there. I know they're very happy to have you. So thank you so much.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you. No, it's a pleasure to be back to New York. I mean, this is where I grew up as a player, as a person, and then I'd be so happy to be back and just enjoy Staten Island and bring a baseball back to Staten Island. Thank you so much.
A while to give us a report on what the Ferry Hawks are doing. You understand? Take care of yourself.
Fonzie. God bless. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. This is Reach Out with Ray, Steve, and Robbie, and we're going to bring on those sports reporters, Ken Davidoff, Bob Klapisch, and Kevin Kernan. If you gentlemen are there, please join us here on Reach Out.
How's it going, fellas?
Hey, guys.
There you go. They look like the Four Seasons.
Yeah.
You guys know each other, kind of, right?
Briefly.
No, I never.
Briefly. Well, that's Craig Pilo over here.
Hi, guys.
Greg.
Great. Thank you for joining us. We wanted to bring you on because obviously the Hall of Fame was a big topic of discussion, and I know you gentlemen have been writing about it and reporting on it. But what's your take? I know some of you guys have a vote in this. I mean, Ken, start off with why you felt David Ortiz should be in, and what's your thoughts about the other guys that didn't get in?
Yeah, I thought David Ortiz was one of the most impactful sluggers, hitters of his era, Steve. And, when you think about how dominant he was in the postseason on top of his spectacular regular season accomplishments, 3 rings with the Red Sox, I voted for him. I would have liked to have seen more guys, and I'm a big Hall guy. I would have liked to have seen Bonds and Clemens get in, as well as Schilling. So I was disappointed that it was only Ortiz.
You kind of nailed it in your reporting, talking about that. That might happen, that Big Papi would be the only person inducted. Craig, what's your thoughts about David Ortiz? You're a Red Sox fan when that came down.
Just to echo him, I mean, I think for me, the thing that sealed it with David Ortiz was his clutch hitting in the postseason. I mean, certainly when you compare his stats to the, 4 or 5 guys that are in there primarily as a DH, Edgar Martinez, Harold Baines, Paul Molitor, I think, and maybe Frank Thomas, guys who spent most of their years as a DH, I think what separates David Ortiz is his postseason play. All those guys had big numbers. David Ortiz had over 500 home runs. So, for me, that's your answer.
Bob, what's your thoughts on how things went down?
Well, are you talking about Ortiz, or are you talking about the voting process in general? Well, there's no shortage of controversy, that's for sure. I'm with Ken. I voted for Ortiz. I voted for Schilling. I voted for Bonds. I voted for Clemens. I'm a big Hall guy as well. I think the Hall is for fans, and as many players who are qualified who can get in, we should let them in. The whole steroid issue is, to me, unresolved. It's vague. And it's really at some point it's going to be the commissioner's responsibility, or the Hall of Fame's responsibility, to define what is and is not a Hall of Famer. The eligibility has been muddled to the point where the baseball writers have been left to do the dirty work, and we're the bad guys now. And it's unfortunately caused a lot of controversy and a lot of ill will towards the Baseball Writers Association of America. Fans want to take the vote away from us because they don't like the job we're doing. But unfortunately, we are the most qualified group to determine who is a Hall of Famer, who is not. Unfortunately, the morals clause is so vague that it's impossible, really, to get it right to everyone's satisfaction.
What about you, Kevin?
Well, I went beyond these guys. I voted for A-Rod. I voted for A-Rod. I voted for Sosa. I voted for Manny. I'm basically off the wall. A few good men. Where do we draw the line on the steroid guys? Where do we draw the line? So I also voted for a guy who I think should get, much like when I championed Rich Gossage years ago. I really want to champion Billy Wagner. Billy Wagner, no really skeletons in his closet. He held opponents to 187 batting average. I'm not going to nerd out on you. But, I voted for 10, like these guys. I'm a big Hall guy, too. And here's the thing I want to say most of all. If you were a baseball fan that came in, because we got a bunch of old guys on the show tonight, but if you were a baseball fan that came in after 1998 or around then, 95, maybe you grew of age then, your heroes were Barry Bonds, Sammy Sosa, McGuire, which I covered, all that stuff. So you're basically being told by the sports writers, your heroes don't matter. We know better than you. And I've come a long way on this. I've changed my stance on this simply because once Seeley got in, once La Russa got in, once Joe Torre got in, all those guys benefited from the steroids. And I have one other point I want to make. I really find it troublesome now when players are writing columns saying, this is wrong, and they're really defending. Hey, where were these guys in the 2000s speaking up or anything like that? They saw what was going on. We're in the clubhouses, and all these guys are good reporters that I'm on here with, and they know what they're doing. They know what they're looking at. We knew what we were looking at, but we didn't have the access. We weren't in the bathrooms when these guys were supposedly shooting up some of these guys. So the players, I think, really dropped the ball, and now it's so hypocritical of them to say, these guys shouldn't be in. Also Schilling, I voted for Schilling. Just because your political beliefs, you're out now. This is like a Joe Rogan thing, as far as I'm concerned. The baseball writers really need to get it together here.
Okay, if I could jump in on that, because Kevin is 1,000% right. I mean, we are passing judgment on Schilling's politics. Okay, whether you agree or not, we, as a Baseball Writers Association, is so hypocritical. We have elected a pedophile, an accused pedophile, and he's still there into the Hall of Fame. I'm talking about Bill Conlon from the Philadelphia Daily News. He's still in there. We have done nothing about his status. He's in there in the Hall of Fame with Grantland Rice, with Dave Anderson, Red Smith. He's shoulder to shoulder, plaque to plaque with those guys, and we've done nothing about it. So who are we to pass judgment on anybody?
And what's your take on Sosa and McGuire? Because seems like Major League Baseball supported, their efforts back in the day there, and they
took
really got no play.
advantage of them.
And now they're off the ballot. I mean, what do you thought about their non-votes getting into the Hall of Fame, Ken?
Well, McGuire is off the ballot, Steve. He fell off a while ago. I always voted for him. But, yeah, I voted for Sammy, too. I think Mr. Kernan nailed it. It's right at a few good men, right? You want me on that wall, you need me on that wall. I remember Roger Clemens, God bless him, it was one of those final years, like Major League Baseball reached out to him and said, could you please pitch in the All-Star game? Like, we need your star power. We need you. And he did. He went because they wanted him on that wall. And he went. And now, basically the Mitchell report, which was bogus, there was some red meat they needed to feed to Congress. And Roger Clemens was the big name they needed. He was the scapegoat for an entire era. Oh, and anyway, to answer your original question, I voted for Sammy also.
I'm with Kevin and Ken, two writers I respect greatly. The only thing that separates me from them is that, look, first of all, Ken is right and said it many times, and Kevin just said it. If Bud Selig's in, all bets are off. Everybody should be, let him in, let the herd in. The only thing that I will say, the only rejoinder to that is if you were dumb enough to get caught, if you tested positive, if you confessed, if you were accused of a crime, if you were suspended by baseball at any time in your career because of PEDs, then I find it really hard to vote for you. If you don't check any of those boxes, then I'm willing to consider your candidacy on a clean slate. That's the only thing. I mean, and that's why I have not voted for A-Rod. That's why I haven't voted for Manny. I just can't vote for those guys because they got caught. I mean, red-handed.
Well, in that regard, if I could ask you then, Ken, didn't Big Papi get caught as well?
No, sir. He absolutely did not. No. He was part of a 2003 survey test. Which,
the testing was in its infancy back then in 2003 too, and I know since 2004 everything came up clean.
So then I stand corrected then, because that was my understanding, I guess on the periphery.
Well, Ortiz never tested positive after it became an official policy in the big leagues. He never violated the CBA or the drug enforcement rule. Never.
Well, let me put this on the table for you gentlemen. Then we've talked about the drug guys. What about Pete Rose? How does he fit into this whole picture?
Let me go here because I wrote this column the other day for Ball 9. I'm looking to throw some numbers at you. Jerry Rice, 208 touchdown receptions. Tom Brady, 624 touchdowns. Peyton Manning, if you want to pick somebody who's 539. Gale Sayers, Brian's song. So what has baseball done? Bonds, Clemens, Rose, hits leader. Shoeless Joe, number 3 in batting average.
Yeah.
The top players in football, the Pro Football Hall of Fame, have all gotten in via Canton. So Canton over Cooperstown. The baseball players can't get in. And with baseball in bed with gambling now, which is fine, you got to make. I get it. A lot of people. It's a new world. How in the world can Pete Rose not be in? Shoeless Joe was basically a lifetime ban. He died in 1951. He's been dead for 70-some years. These guys need to get in the Hall of Fame as well, especially Rose. I mean, one quick story on Pete Rose. I was covering the Padres. We went into Cincinnati. Pete always loved the media, would talk to us forever. He's probably gathering information on his bets, of course. But we asked him a question. We asked him a question, but he really, he's a gym rat. He loves the game. So I asked Pete a question, and he went back to, he related the story. He goes, that happened in 10th grade. And then he goes, wow. Was that the first time I was in 10th grade or the second time I was in 10th grade? So that's Pete Rose in a nutshell. But You know, you can't. I got the number right here. You know, 4,256 hits. You can't.
Unbelievable.
It's a joke for baseball to leave these guys out. A joke.
Yeah, I'm starting to come around on that. My position has always been I'll vote for Pete after he passes away. But you know, he's paid. I think he's paid for his crimes. I mean, what he did was wrong. Clearly, it was wrong, and I'm sure if he could go back in time and was able to do it differently, he would. You know, being out of the Hall of Fame, the shame and the tarnish to his reputation has cost him a lot of money. He hasn't gotten to enjoy his retirement as other Hall of Famers do. I think he's paid, and I'm starting to think that maybe it's time to reconsider that position.
I mean, the guy, you know, his nickname was Charlie Hustle. He's still hustling, okay, just to pay the rent. Cut him a break already, boys.
And also, Ken probably could speak to this better because he knows all those rules and regulations, but I don't think we ever got a chance to vote on Pete Rose, right? He was never on
That's
the ballot.
right.
No, right. That's right.
Yeah, he was banned from the game.
Ineligible.
They made up a rule on the spot that, if you're banned from the game, you can't be on the ballot. So it was really, it was bogus.
Somebody brought up an interesting point on TV the other day. If Barry Bonds hit 710 home runs, not breaking Hank Aaron's record, do you think the writers or people would have a different view of him getting into the Hall of Fame? Ken?
Wow, Steve, I was going to bet that your point was not going to be interesting, but it is interesting. So tip of the cap to you.
Wow.
Jeez. Wow.
I got to keep up with you guys somehow.
Yeah, I think that's actually a fair argument. Yeah, I do think the fact that he was the champion and past Hank, I do think that cemented people's hard feelings on that.
Well, it cemented the commissioner's office for sure. I mean, look, they shortened the eligibility window from 15 to 10 years specifically to keep Bonds and Clemens out of the Hall of Fame, because this way, you know, the older voters are passing on or aging out from the process. As more young writers come along, they have more liberal views about it, and the gap continue to close. I mean, if Bonds and Clemens were on the ballot for 5 more years, I guarantee you they'd be in. But because now it's been shortened, they specifically were targeted to be kept out.
And I was there when he passed Aaron, and of course Aaron wasn't there, which showed you something. But he gave a very nice message on the scoreboard. So even then it was kind of like, are you in? You kind of out? You know, if he's really that upset about it, don't send a message. So, and one other point regarding the players in 2006, I think it was the All-Star game. I spent the whole time around Bonds' podium when we have the day before the All-Star game, when it's a ballroom and both teams are in, they pass each other. Every single player came up to Bonds and kissed his ring that day. You know, that day before the All-Star game, including Jerry Rice, who was there doing some TV work. So now for the players to kind of be this way, or somebody to be this way, in 2000, you know, this was 2006 or 7 when things were known. You know, so it's really, I don't like hypocrites. You know, and I think that's why we need to clean this up. And again, what are we talking about? We're talking about something bad about baseball. No sport hates itself more than baseball. Hates its history. The commissioner once said about the World Series trophy, a hunk of metal. I mean, Goodell, for all his mistakes, doesn't make these kind of mistakes. So baseball needs to embrace. It needs to embrace its history much more, because all baseball fans embrace the history, no matter if it's good or bad.
Well, ain't that the truth? Hey, let me throw another name on the table here, because this is my personal policy, or my personal thing to kind of get going here. One guy that has not made it to the Hall of Fame has won more games as a pitcher than any other player yet, except for one who's not in the Hall of Fame. And this guy's name is mentioned more often at every baseball game that has ever played, and you guys know who I'm talking about. How come he's not in yet? Tommy John.
He's going to get in. You can set your watch to it, Robbie.
Good.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
when?
He should be on a couple levels, actually.
Yeah, I think probably. Yeah, what the ballot that Cott? No,
Right.
I'm sorry. He'd be on the next ballot, like the 71 to 87 or something like that. He'll get on that ballot. Rest assured, Robbie, take care of yourself, sleep well, eat well, and you'll be there for the big day.
Well, Tommy told me when he does that, I get to play the organ at his.
Take it easy, Ken. Yeah, lighten up.
So what's your thoughts about Jim Cott, Tony Oliva, Minnie Minosa, Bud Fowler, Buck O'Neill, and Gil Hodges, guys?
Maybe
on fire.
The more the merrier.
Let's talk about Gil Hodges for a minute. Robbie, you're a big Gil Hodges guy.
Oh, man, I love
What's your
Gil
thoughts about Gil Hodges?
Well, Gil Hodges, I had a decal on my trash can in my bedroom as a kid of Gil Hodges, and this guy meant the world to me, and he was revered, he was beloved, and he was an integral part of those Brooklyn Dodger teams in the 50s, the Boys of Summer, and to have him wait this long to get in the Hall of Fame has been a crime, I think.
That just goes to show that, if you take the vote away from the writers and give it to the players or, these other committees, they're just as liable to hold grudges and keep deserving players out. I mean, Gil Hodges should have been in years ago. I don't know what the problem was. Maybe they thought there were too many Dodgers in the Hall of Fame already, and they took it out on Gil. But it just goes to show there's no perfect, impartial voting body. There is no such thing.
I got a text over here.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine if in the 1 year that he missed by one vote in the Veterans Committee, Ward Campanella could not get out of the hospital. Right. They said, "Oh, you can't vote because it couldn't be done proxy or whatever." That's what they kept him out with way back. I've been pushing for Gil Hodges for 20 years, literally 20 years, and also because he's a World War II. The places that he fought were just unbelievable. So he was a hero in so many ways. And let's not forget what he did with the '69 Mets. And and he also. He might be the father of nerds in a way, which is kind of ironic because he did all the platooning. He did it when it was what should have been done. He did the platooning. He wasn't afraid to call out a player. He was like he was a combination of a Marine and a nerd. You can't get any better than that.
Wait, hold on one second. I have a text over here from one of our regular viewers, and his name is Louis Tiant, and his text is, "What about me?"
There you go.
Wow.
There we go.
Yeah,
there we go.
Wow. Oh, my God, Kernan.
Right on cue.
Jesus.
So answer that, Kernan. Answer that.
Pushing for him for years. Look what he did for the game. I mean, a great ambassador. And I think, in some ways, I think the Latino guys need more representation. And anybody who met Louis Tiant, and we've all met him, loves Louis Tiant. You know what I mean? And he's got the Yankee time. He's got the Red Sox time. He also came back. I think it was the Twins where he was struggling, and the Red Sox picked him up, much like David Ortiz.
Right. Exactly.
And carried them. So for him not to be in and to be passed along, it's head scratching. I mean, Louis deserves to be in. That's why I always drink from my tea.
What about you, Bob?
Yeah, I agree. There needs to be a greater Latino representation. Ray, you need to be in. I mean, somehow we've got to get you in Cooperstown.
Thank you, Bob.
Who's done more for baseball than this man in community service? I'm only half kidding because, Ray, someday you're going to get the props that you deserve.
Thank you, brother.
Tiant obviously deserves to be in. And I thought up until last year Omar Vizquel was going to get in. But, look what happened to his candidacy, and rightfully so. But, yes, I agree. There has to be a greater Latino presence in Cooperstown.
Now we have a few minutes left. What about the lockout, Bob? What do you think? What's going on with this lockout? When is this thing going to end?
Well, you remember what Kevin just said about baseball hating itself? I'm telling you, MLB never misses an opportunity to shoot itself in the foot. I mean,
very well said.
Rob Manfred said he locked the industry down as a way to expedite a settlement, and then there are no talks for 43 days after that. They gave away the hot stove season. I mean, that's the time of the year when fans renew their interest in their teams, right? They buy tickets, they make plans to go to spring training, they fall in love with the game all over again because come February, every team is starting over. Everybody's got a chance in spring training, and that momentum builds in November, December, January. Everybody wants to know who we trading for, who we signing, who we getting rid of, who's getting hired or fired. The off-season interest in baseball traditionally is as high at any point in the year. I think more fans care about roster construction in the winter than they do at some Tuesday night in April. Mm-hmm. And yet Manfred pulls the plug on the whole industry and basically hands baseball over to the NFL and says, okay, you guys can have center stage. we're going to disappear for 2 months. It's unbelievable to me. And if we don't get a settlement in the next couple of days, I'm talking about this week, it's likely spring training is going to start late, which means we're probably going to have games canceled in April. And here we go again. I mean, it's unfathomable that history's repeating itself.
Ken, what's your thoughts, Ken?
Yeah, I agree with Clapp. I would be shocked if spring training started on time. I would not be surprised in the least if the regular season did not start on time. They're just not getting along very well. You know, the problem is if you go back to the previous agreement, 2016, MLB just shellacked the players, just killed them. Like everyone knew it within 24 hours of the ink being dry. You know, so that Tony Clark was getting all these complaints from agents, like, you botched this. So for 5 years, Tony's been working and revving up to try to get revenge, you know. So think of it in ball game terms. It's like if you're trailing 12-1 in the second inning, like you can't try to score all 11 runs in the second inning. You have to try to score 2 runs in the second inning. Right. So instead of just trying to take some bounces back from that time, they're trying to take everything back, which isn't working. And on the flip side, MLB's offers have generally been pretty weak. You know, if you get down and dirty here, they're just every time they offer something, they're trying to take something back. So neither side has done a very good job handling this situation. And of course, the fans are the victims.
Kevin?
And Ken, as we learned from 2 years ago, I'm sorry to interrupt, but the owners clearly don't care about losing games in April. I mean, there's rainouts, poor attendance. They don't care. As long as they've got their October TV playoff revenue locked in, they're willing to sit this out for a month or two. I don't think that it bothers them in the least if they don't play 162 games.
They didn't want to play it with the COVID. They kept the schedule down. And I'm going to say right now, I think the first game in New York is going to be the Furry Hawks opener on May 3rd.
All right. There we go. Well, listen, thank you, guys.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you so very much. And thank you for supporting our show and your thoughts on baseball tonight.
Thanks for having us on.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah,
appreciate
it,
guys.
Appreciate it. You guys are more handsome than ever.
That's not even possible.
Good stuff, too.
So, Craig, I mean, they're talking about Louis Tion. I'm sure you agree with all that, Craig.
Absolutely. It's nice to hear the writers, discuss all this. And again, I want to second what Bob said. You know, I mean, I just hope they work this out. I mean, I thought he really explained it well, but the fans at the end of the day are the ones that get screwed. I mean, I'm a fanatic, so I'm going to watch no matter what. But I want to see this get worked out, you know. And I like hearing the professional view on it. It's really nice, guys. Thank you for having me today. This was excellent.
Oh, thank you. You're a baseball guy. You know what I'm saying?
He's a baseball guy.
I'm a baseball
And Robbie,
fanatic.
what you got going on tonight? What's on your show tonight, Robbie?
Well, we have a guy who is a legend in the studios. His name is George Young, and Craig knows him. This guy is one of the greatest saxophone players that ever lived. I mean, and that's no exaggeration. And he played on almost every solo of Frankie Valli's in the all of Frankie's records. Swearing to God, the solo that he played in that is just monumental.
Incredible.
And Craig has played with him. What do you think about this guy as a saxophone player?
Well, I played with him in his later years, and he still had it, which was amazing. You know, like I don't know how old he was when I played with him, but he sounded great. You know, he sounded like he could still be in the height of his career.
He's an amazing saxophone player. This guy has played it with everybody from Paul McCartney to Frank Sinatra to Elvis to Madonna and everybody in between. He's played with everybody. He was on Saturday Night Live for years. You could see him playing the big theme song and stuff. One of the baddest.
We're going to check out your show tonight, Robbie. We got to go, gentlemen.
All right.
Thank you so much. God bless you. Thanks Craig.
For having
Love
me,
you.
guys.
Love you, Craig.